Hello, I'm Brad with Coffee Phantom Games, and welcome to one of our tutorial videos. Today, I'll be discussing how to take a voxel creation from the software Magicavoxel and bring it into Unity as a possible game asset. This process is what we currently do for all of our voxel models in our upcoming game, Hextren. If anyone has any tips on how to improve this process and want to share it with the community, please let us know in the comments below. To follow this tutorial, we'll need a few prerequisite softwares: Magicavoxel, Blender, and Unity. I won't be going over the setup for each software, but each one can be used with minimal setup after installation and first-time startup. We won't be covering much of Magicavoxel, other than how to export something made in it. In the background is a video of me making one of our patron suggestions for a champion. Our patron requested a champion that could clear problems, and thus Sweepy the Broom was born. From here, we have a choice of export formats to move this 3D model into Blender. .obj is a common 3D geometry format that works well when moving to Blender. However, we have found that this works best when moving a voxel image that you are not planning to animate. In contrast to this, the .ply or polygon file format, when exported, will save the model as individual voxels, making it easier to animate, but requires a little more involved cleanup. While many of our champions don't have animations, we tend to export from Magicavoxel in the .ply format. Next, we'll be moving on to Blender. Blender is where we'll be doing most of our prep work for the voxel creations. In Blender's startup menu, select a new file of type General, then delete the cube and the camera. Next, click File on the top left, select Import, then select your format of choice from the previous steps. A file browser should appear. Navigate to the exported Magicavoxel file, and after selecting it, you should see a gray version of your creation in Blender. Special note here, your Magicavoxel creation may import with more vertices than necessary. In that case, you want to go into edit mode by pressing Tab, right-click and select Merge Vertices, then select Merge by Distance. You'll want to adjust the values a little bit to make sure it works for your model. From here, we are ready to start preparing our model for Unity. We'll be splitting the Blender preparation stage into two steps. First, we'll make sure our Magicavoxel's model's origin is in the center of the model. Second, we'll make sure our Magicavoxel model is shaded properly. To begin step 1, setting the origin, we'll begin by going into edit mode by pressing Tab. From here, we'll want to click on Mesh, then Snap, then Selection to Cursor. This will move Blender's 3D cursor to the selected object's center. Next, we'll want to press Tab again to go back into object mode. From here, we'll go into the object menu, click Set Origin, and click Origin to 3D Cursor. This moves the origin to the center of the object. Then we'll want to hold Shift and press S to open a radial menu. From here, we'll want to select Cursor to World Origin. This will set the cursor back to the Blender's scene's origin. Then hold Shift and press S again to open the radial menu and click on Selection to Cursor. This should place the model and its origin in the center of the Blender space. Now we'll move on to the shader portion by clicking on the shader tab at the top of Blender. Click on the camera icon or the render properties on the right. Then we'll set render to cycles and device to GPU compute. Now we'll do a smart UV unwrap by going into edit mode with Tab, selecting UV at the top, and clicking on Smart UV Project. My current settings are set at an angle limit of 66 with island margin and area width at 0. To confirm this was done correctly, there should be a UV map in the UV map section of the object data properties. That's the tab with the upside down green triangle. Next, we'll want to select a new material. It'll create a principled BDSF and a material output. Create and add a color attribute by clicking on Add, then Input, then Color Attribute. Connect the color attribute to the base color and emission of the principled BDSF by dragging the connect points together. At this point, your model should appear normal instead of gray in the editing window. Create an image texture node. We can do this by clicking on Add, then Texture, then Image Texture. This does not need to be connected to anything, but we do need to create a new image by clicking the New button on the node. Go back to the Render Properties tab. Click on the Bake tab within it. Select only indirect lighting and emit as a contribution, and press the Bake button. Once baking is complete, we're done. We just need to save the blend file and the image file into our Unity assets, preferably both in the same place. Now, if you want to check your work, you can connect the image node to the base color and emission of the principled BDSF, and you should see the same results as if you had the color attribute in that spot. Now, in Unity, we'll pull the object into Unity Space. From here, we can drag the image file onto the instance of the object in Unity Space to create a material. The object should now be colored and ready for being used in the game. From here, I recommend making the object a prefab and preparing it however you need for your game. That concludes this tutorial. Before we go, Coffee Phantom Games is a small collection of video game developers, and we are currently working on a larger, turn-based multiplayer game called Hextren. Keep an eye on this channel in the future for more information on indie development. Special thanks to our patrons, Crasheffect, Hextren, and Teleck Moonblood. Thank you all for watching.